With the movie side of things, what I found so stressful was you've done this particular scene and then you're told you need to redo it because now they need a different angle.
Yeah, the multiple takes.
Oh, bruh. Ukrema script. Then you must redo it 3 or 4 times.
Radio has and continues to be the soundtrack of our lives. And in the background are voices that we hear, fall in love with, and end up feeling as though they are part of our families. Today's guest is proof that radio isn't just a job, it is a calling, one that will pursue you endlessly and make you swap your toolbox for headsets and a microphone like it did with her. She has come a long way from her days as a technician working with cables and systems. She has now become a well-loved radio personality, DJ, music producer, actress, and one of the most influential voices in the arts industry in our kingdom. This is the story of Invambiasa Skomga Jeg, Lipansulale Radio, The General, LD, DJ Lindz. And listening to her story, you will realize why she is a household name.
Siyanivusela, and welcome to Echoes of the Kingdom. My name is Sinetemba Ngomdepsiga Dlamini. I am your host for this podcast that is proudly brought to you by Umsakato Akangwane EBIS. And we are shooting this episode at the beautiful Bahle Pantry at the Foundry, which is situated at the Matapa Industrial Site. Please do come in for a fresh cup of coffee or this really nice homemade iced tea. Also, if you're looking for a spot from which to work, you just come in, plug and play. On today's episode, we have one of our own as Umsakato, probably one of our biggest products, someone that we're immensely proud of because she has done so much work as an MC, radio producer, presenter, and very recently she's added yet another feather to her cap as an actress, the one and only Lindelwa Mafa. Hi, Lindz.
Hey, what's up, Sneh?
Ooh, fancy seeing you on camera. Thank you. Fancy seeing you on camera.
I never thought I'd do this until I did my, acting gig and stuff like that, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, but you have one up on me now because you're quite accustomed to being actually in front of the camera. What was that shift like for you?
It was really funny because I really didn't want to do it because I was not sure about it. But we have an amazing boss. I had a conversation with our director, Sabelo, and he was on you've done a lot of things. Why not? Give it a try. We are behind you. So it's really exciting to know that Umsakato is behind all the dreams that Lesias Wapupe and want to achieve. So yeah, I think it's amazing.
Clearly, you're multi-talented. Let's go back to you, your upbringing as a child. What sort of a child were you?
I don't even know where. I'm not really sure. But all I remember that I was bullied, primary school, secondary school, to a point whereby I remember there was a point whereby I wanted to drop out of school based on bullying. In the 90s, around 1995, 96, there was the issue of devil worshippers and stuff like that. So some girl made up a story and said, I took her at night, went with her, Gasatane and stuff like that, based on my religion. There are things that I do not do. I don't believe in Christmas celebration. I don't believe in birthday celebration, Valentine's, and a whole lot of other things. So I guess I was misunderstood. Hence, they started making the stories up. That's where the bullying came in. And funny enough, part of the people who bullied me in high school, some of them are artists now. I almost dropped out of school. Now they are artists. They come to me and say, Lindz, can you plug this, project for me and stuff like that? And I just laugh and be on hey, you guys almost made me drop out of school based on that bullying.
So bullying to you is not a trending topic. It's something that you actually experienced when you were younger as a child. Did it affect your confidence and probably some of the things that you would have wanted to do back in the day?
I think it did in a way. But at the same time, I think it shaped me because when I wanted to drop out, I didn't, in our time, conversing with your parents was not as easy as it is today. You can't just go to your mom or your dad and say, "This is what's happening in school." You bottle these things up. So that's what I did until it was time to go back to school. I was in boarding school, and I told my mom, I'm not going back to school. So to her, it was like, probably you're pregnant. And at the time, I didn't even, it was not even something that was on, So she went as far as making me do a pregnancy test. And they were like, she's not pregnant. Then why don't you want to go to school? To a point whereby she wanted to trap me for that. That is when I opened up. My mom and dad were not related. They just made me.
That's a very interesting way of putting it. They were not related.
No, they're not related. But they had to have a conversation about this particular issue. St. Philip's is very far. They drove like a convoy to school because my mother was very angry when she found out why I didn't want to go back to school. And then she lectured me. Said, don't be this stupid. You can't allow people to do this to you. I think that changed me in a way because that is where I was on some. If I survive this, I can do whatever and be on some. Funny enough, in high school, they used to call me DJ Leroy because I loved music. And I remember from DJ Leroy, it changed to Schwarzenegger because
From Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Exactly.
The action superhero?
Exactly.
How did you get that nickname?
I had written a play we had school concerts. So I had written a play and was part of the play. And Schwarzenegger was a popular, action a hero and stuff like that. So the boys were teasing me about that. So it was Lee Schwarzenegger and stuff like that. It was very funny.
So you've always had a creative side to you ever since you were young. Because here you are playing music and writing plays.
I paint, I draw. So yeah.
So you've always been gifted.
I'd say so.
Okay.
It's just that in our time, the support was not the way we do. My daughter takes after me when it comes to some of the creative side of things. She paints, we fight all the time. Now the world has Barbie dolls and she has started, but I buy the things for her. In my time, my mom atfolele paper utrowile. Exercise lelo paper lelo.
It was a different time. Let's talk about now you're in high school, you're doing plays, you're DJ Leroy. At the back of your mind, are you thinking about growing up and going into entertainment as an industry? Also, even at that time, is it even an option?
No, not at all. Remember, some of you guys grew up in town. I grew up in a farm, a Plaza in Gamchalakeni, Oshuk. So we never had access to most of the things. Television, we didn't have television.
Really?
No, there was no television. And radio, Beilala during news time, Timemetelo Nestori. It was only when my uncle Stokes, came back from school because he was in varsity, we would get to listen to Top 20. And because we had no electricity. So 70 battery, battery. So the most important things was news at Memetelo and all those things and stuff like that. So not really. When I completed high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And me being a tomboy and stuff, I wanted something masculine, but when I applied, it was courses that I felt like they're kind of like boyish.
Okay.
So it was electrical engineering, and I eventually did telecoms and electronics engineering.
Okay.
So being on radio was an accident.
The accident that led to destiny. So How do you arrive at EBIS? Do you arrive as an engineer on the technical side? What are you doing when you first arrive at the radio station?
I started as a technician. And halfway through, I think it was even less than a year into the engineering side of things. But I was first attached a music studio. That is when I discovered some of the jams from local artists. There was Vamosh, there was Floaty at the time. And I was like, is this Swazi music? And I was so interested. I would take the material to request the presenters to play. Nobody was interested at the time. Until this particular time, we had there was a technical issue. A studio. So I had to go take care of that situation. We had no presenters. Presenters were at the trade fair. So I had to take over and probably play songs. I got bored playing songs and I started, saying stuff, broadcasting. Got me in trouble. But fast forward, my then boss, who's now the principal secretary in the Ministry of ICT, Pesher, then was on some, no, man, there's talent.
Just talent, yeah.
Then he went to request my supervisor, engineering, Gutsi, can you borrow us this lady just for a month?
What was the reaction like from the people who are behind the microphone at the time? Because they have their slots, they're quite popular, and then suddenly there's this technician, now she has shifts. What was the response from the people who were actually on air, particularly because they knew that you were someone who worked behind the scenes?
It's very funny because most of them, I was the youngest when I got to the radio station. I was only 22 years old.
Oh, you were the baby.
Exactly. So everyone was supportive, from the likes of Yoskayo Magongo, Veli, who's now our deputy director, was on the English side of things. He was the one who gave me the push. He would share his slot with me. I think we were doing 6 hours at the time. He'll take 3 hours and give me 3 hours. We both got into trouble for that. But later, Baba, I know, borrow us this woman for a month because they had my issues. Somebody got sick and somebody was on leave and stuff like that. So, business kebes. So long abamba 18 years later, so
Hey,
long bambe for that month.
You are the longest serving temporary employee probably in history. Tell us about your early days on radio. Wasn't it intimidating working with those big names? Because radio has always been really huge. So you're in studio and there's all these legends that we grew up listening to. What was that like for you?
It was so exciting. Like I said, I was a baby. So the support was there. When I went to the radio station, actually I had two options as somebody who did telecom and electronics engineering to either go to SPTC or EBIS. Okay. And at the time I was like, yay, EBIS. It was so exciting. So I chose radio and they babied me. They were very supportive. Even now, we have a relation. Sky still calls me Tweenie because we share day
of birth?
Yeah, day of birth and stuff like that. So no, the support was there from management down to
even your colleagues on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay. You've always been really passionate. You were just saying earlier how when you were at the library you found Swazi gold. Not the Swazi gold that we know today, but literally the Swazi gold in terms of our artists. Yeah. You've always had a thing for local artists. Tell us about that and how it led to a project that we later got to learn of, Swazi Rhythm.
When I started on my temporal, when I started...
Did you eventually fix your contract?
Oh, yes.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Oh, yes. Actually, I was... I started by doing broadcasting, program production, and later my then boss Peshia said you need to go and do journalism and mass communication because we worked on contract at the time, and it was like in the next couple of years we are going to be hiring. So I want you to position yourself
strategically to fill in the vacancy.
So that is when I then did journalism and stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay. Swazi Rhythm, tell us about that project.
Swazi Rhythm started as Swaziland's Finest.
Okay.
Where I went on radio and, made the call to artists to say, please, if you have anything, bring it on. When I did that, I discovered that we already had studios and music schools. There was Mluleki Dlamini from Nyanza Music. Mluleki Dlamini is the guy who actually help introduce the likes of your Boloja, your Sense, in terms of the craft, your subgems, and them. So Mluleki invited me and said, let's see what you can get from my system. He shared some of the things that he heard. It was like exciting in as much as I don't think I would play most of the stuff today. Because when you compare then and now, you're like,
of the music. Do you
know,
remember some of the first artists that you heard at the time and you thought, there's gold here, there's potential here?
There was Vamosh, which was managed by Didi Cool at the time. There was Grey Master Chill. There was XY Chromosomes. Actually, they were the first
Are these
ones.
groups or individuals, or is it a band?
It was groups.
Okay.
XY Chromosomes, I think it was a duo. He now go by Pastor. I'll remember the name. But
Sorrel.
yes. There were
Hip hop. I think he calls
hip-hop.
himself the hip hop apostle.
Exactly, hip hop apostle.
See, I know a thing about tour music.
You know, they actually were the first ones to even give us a proper music video for television. There was Knowledge Makanya who tried, or who also gave us beautiful music. There was it Freedom Express, if I'm not, if I remember very well. So those were some of the first groups. But the turning point was when Peshea called me into his office, and he was on there's a boy that I want to introduce you to, because he already picked that I have interest in local crafts. He introduced me to a young boy by the name Muzingwenya, otherwise known as Umuti now, formerly Mosaic. Fresh from Scotland to study music. Apparently he was supposed to do law, and he was on no, I want to do music. And mommy was like, you need something to fall back on. And he was on I'm not planning to fall.
That's a good response.
Exactly. So I met Omodi, and he had recorded a song with Simon Pollard in Scotland. At the time, we felt, you're not able to sing as a Swat. We were borrowing from the States and South Africa. Gave me a pure Siswati song. The title of the song is Life. I still have that song. Beautiful stuff. And I was like,
there's something
if
there.
he could do this, then the rest of Amaswati would do this. Then came Nomzamo. Zamo with Kwendenjani, pure Siswati song. That is when I went back to make the call. We have 2 official languages in the country. Let's try to find identity. Either you sing as Siswati noma ngeSingisi, because those are our 2 official languages. Then people started bringing in
Getting
music
onto the train.
in. We are here today. Now we are at a point where when you listen to local music, you're happy, you're proud that we can compete with the best, not only in Southern Africa, but the world over. We've come too far.
Let's talk about the project then, Swaziland's Finest. You did a compilation. Was that your first run at being a producer?
It was. When we did Swaziland's Finest, it was because there was a demo that we did. It was just Swaziland's Finest with Shabisto Mavuso from Lukwalakwala FM, with the support of Tom Lynn and Didi Cool. So we called artists to bring their music, and we compiled. And it was the birth of Swazi Rhythm. When we did Swazi Rhythm Volume 1, we took the artists to studio to record fresh music for the project. I think it was a 3-week project, and Omoti was on production. And we came up with something amazing. I think that was 2012. That was 2012.
Did you do a second edition?
We did do a second edition, but we didn't go all out about it. I still have the material.
Okay. So you owe us a CD. You owe us a project.
Yeah, kind of. But
what happened there?
Some of these things, they are draining because you're doing them from your pocket. And sometimes you feel like this is not where I want to be at this point. And then you start tapping on other projects, on the side. There are individual artists that you need to focus on, and you now can't do or focus on this particular project. But I'll tell you now, this is between you and I, don't tell anyone. EBIS is celebrating 60 years next year. So I am hoping we're going to use that project celebrating our 60 years.
Oh, cooking, something special.
So, yeah, there's something that's coming up. Otherwise, there's a lot of other things that came into play. You remember we did the COVID song, Asibe Munye, which was commissioned by NDMA.
That was a beautiful project.
Thank you.
It was a beautiful project.
Thank you. But yeah, there's just a lot of things that we're doing on the side.
You're touching on a really critical issue and subject of support for the industry. You're even talking about how you had to let go of a project or put it on ice because you didn't have the kind of support that you needed. We know that in your history, when we were doing our research, we learned that you were also involved in the MTN Swamas. Let's talk a bit about the role of corporate in supporting the arts as well as the role of government. What is it that has been done when we journey and look through the years?
I really appreciate the corporate for being there, in as much as I feel we still need to do more, in terms of supporting ours. I say we've laid the foundation, we've built the house. It just needs the roofing, which is where government comes in, and the corporate needs to furniture this house that we're trying to build. And let's not look at it as a Sinethemba project or a Lindelwa project. Let's look at it as the driving factor of the economy. I always feel I don't know how I feel, honestly, but we had the late Prime Minister Mandvulo. Mandvulo had actually taken us in as CEO of MTN. He's the one who actually gave us an ear and understood what we were trying to do with the awards. Because we need a financial dimension to the craft, to the artist and stuff like that. So when he became Prime Minister, we were so excited because we felt like we will have a nice conversation in terms of the arts being a contributing factor. Most countries like Nigeria, South Africa, the economy is being boosted by the arts. When you look at Nigeria, especially, the biggest driver of the economy is the arts. We also had an opportunity to converse with the late Barnabas, Prime Minister Barnabas, who understood where we were coming from because he was not familiar with what we were talking about. Hence the reason at some point he said, when foreign artists come into the country, there needs to be a balance of a 60% over 40. You have a South African artist, you're paying 200,000 or 150,000, but you're only paying 2,000 for a local artist. Let's not take the money outside the country. So he was also advocating for that, and we lost. That is why sometimes I like, I lost this gentleman so early.
This young man.
But of course, we've also had others that came after who tried to be supportive. I remember during COVID, acting Prime Minister at the time was Themba Masuku. During lockdown, artists were the most affected ones because lockdown, you're not performing, you're not going to have any financial. We went to him and said, you know what, there are events that we can do that, like comedy, where we will observe the regulations of COVID in any. He sat with us, understood us, and that is when he tried to gradually open up the entertainment industry and stuff. So he's another man that I feel understood.
Played a role
as well. And the current prime minister was actually CEO of or NDMA at the time.
Yeah.
He was the one who commissioned the Asiba Munye project. We'll say, let's do this in support of. It's just that he's a busy man. We've never had an opportunity to go back to him and say, now you are here, let's talk.
Hey, Linz, you've been there at Hospital Hill.
No. Hospital Hill and the Deputy Prime Minister's office are my home. Second home.
No, you have done well. We definitely can't take that away from you. Let's talk about the growth of the industry over time, particularly as it relates to artists being more than just artists in the purest sense of the word, but aligning themselves or strategically positioning themselves to benefit from brands, for instance. How well do you think our artists are faring in that regard, in creating a credible brand that big brands will want to associate with and say, no, Sinetemba's a solid artist, she can be a brand ambassador for EBIS, for example?
Sne, there are artists who are already there, but there are artists who are in it because I want to be on paper, I want to be on TV, or I want to be on radio. I've had situations whereby you asked an artist, could say, why music? And I'll be like, because I want to be famous, which is a very unfortunate situation. And these are the kind of artists where opportunities like the MTN Arts Roundtable or other workshops, Nagachamuga, they are never there, but they are the ones who are quick to complain. Then the day ones, the seasoned artists are the ones who are very much interested in
Constantly
learning
showing
up. Exactly. And to a point, for MTN Bushfire Festival, they make a call, apply. It's not only Swati artists that apply. Artists around the world, they apply to be part of festivals, any festival. But when you feel like you're an artist, they already know you. Why should I apply? And once you see other artists constantly on that stage, there's what do they call it? Their industry politics or whatsoever.
Nepotism, Lindsay's favorites.
Exactly. So I would say 15% of the artists that we have, you can take them anywhere. You can
15%
15 or 20%.
Okay, the number's that low.
It is that low.
What is it that our artists are not doing well? What is it that they can do? Because you're seasoned in this industry. What are some of the things that they need to be intentional about in order to increase the value of their personal brands?
I think they need to understand the business side of things, of the craft. Don't just do it because it's a hobby. Don't just do it because you want to be there. You're doing it for the girls or you're doing it for the boys and stuff like that. The reason I'm saying 20%, Snip, our radio station, I guess it's the only radio station that takes demos. Half the time we try to accommodate and we take demos. And our artists, when I say they must understand the business side of the craft, they need to know that you need to register your music. You need to properly register it, and you need to treat yourself like an artist. There are things that you do in your house or that you do when you're with your friends, but you're not going to do when you're in public. Exactly, because you're a brand. So artists need to understand that they're a brand. We need to do away with the sense of entitlement, which is the situation we have with most artists in the country. There's the sense of entitlement. So and so must do ABC, so and so must do ABCD. I've had situations whereby you refer corporate or somebody to a certain artist for whatever they need. Afikanga representi kahle. and they call you Becca Lindz. Is this the artist that we're talking about? So these are the things that I am trying to say. Now, the MTN Bushfire Arts Roundtable, they bring professionals from around the world to teach artists. But most of our artists, because at the end of the day, you get a full festival pass. They go there in the morning, get the pass, and they leave.
And then they don't actually attend the session that's designed for them.
Exactly. That's where my problem is. And when you go there, you will find the usual artists, like the ones that are already, established. And doing very well. So that's the reason why, with the Copyright Act and it being operationalized, it's going to take a lot of artists out of the industry.
Why do you say that?
Because now you need, itawuhlukanisa a professional artist or somebody who's just doing it because now it has more requirements. For you to benefit, you need to have gone through to have done A, B, C, and D. So if you're going to fail to do that, you're not going to benefit. So that is why I'm saying it is going to take away a lot of artists. CEO Arts and Culture usually says we have a lot of fraud artists in the country.
That's a bit unfair.
But jokingly, of course. But yeah, maybe at the same time, it is going to encourage them to work hard, because now there is money on the side. Because doing something, our artists, they sacrifice a lot. Studio time, the last time I checked, it was 3,000 emalangeni. You pay studio time for one song, 3,000 emalangeni, and you get a gig. They are telling you so they'll provide you with transport and food. It's very unfair.
That's an injustice.
Exactly.
That's an injustice. Let's talk now about your other newly found love. Now you're into acting. I saw that clip and I was shocked. I was like, this girl has so many aces up her sleeve. How did you kind of find yourself in that space?
I was approached by the director of that movie, Mahlaba the Street Kid, and I didn't want to do it. I was fresh from a major operation and I was on some, no, I am not going to be able to do this. And I love radio, because radio, it's just me and my imaginary,
audience.
Exactly. And he was on some, I believe in you. You've done a lot of things. Trust me, you're going to do this. So when I went there, I thought I was going to be an extra.
Really?
So yeah, I thought I was going to be an extra until I got the script. And then I was shown pictures. Good, so this is going to be your husband, the man who's going to be playing your husband. And I was like, I see this guy on TV a lot. So you're not going to be pairing me with Musim Tabela.
So established. Yeah.
So
you didn't audition for this role, Linz. You were headhunted for the specific role.
I didn't audition for it.
Okay.
And what was nice, the directors from South Africa, the ones from Eswatini, even the actors from South Africa, they understood. Most of us were fresh. We have never done this before. Others you'd find good, so they've done short filming here and there. And they were the ones, I remember Muzi would say, relax, I got you. Because even during the set, he'd call me, Mngam, relax, we've got this. So this is how we're going to do it. He made me comfortable.
So comfortable.
And I relaxed to a point when we were done. I was like, did I really just,
shoot a movie?
Exactly.
Okay, what are the dynamics like in terms of production on that side of the space? Because you're coming from a music production industry and now to switch over to television. How did you kind of navigate that space as a newbie?
Movie or television is very different because with music, you have you already, or you have produced the beat and stuff like that, and you have your lyrics. You just go through the mic and, you do your thing. If you've done one take perfect, you're good. with the movie side of things, what I found so stressful was you've done this particular sin and then you're told you need to redo it because now they need a different angle.
Yeah, the multiple takes.
Oh, bruh. Ukrema script. Then you must redo it 3 or 4 times. I think that was one of the messed up things that I felt like I'm not going to be able to do this for long. But at the same time, getting into something different from your comfort zone, it makes you appreciate. When I watch television, I'm not a television person. I don't like watching TV. But after doing that movie, now I watch TV differently and I appreciate
found respect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now I know exactly what they go through, and I would never say, this is a low budget movie. Lona didn't do in it, because now I understand.
You understand the struggles.
Yeah. Especially if you're going to shoot a movie from a zero budget. Then it's something else, because in the country, we want to see something before we start supporting it.
Yeah.
So we had to shoot the movie before we went knocking on doors. And fortunately, the current Deputy Prime Minister took us in, mothered us, and was on some, I'm with you all the way.
Guys, Linz, it's either the Prime Minister or the Deputy Prime Minister. Those are the circles that she rolls in. Let's talk about how the arts industry has the capacity to open doors for you if it's something that you are diligent about. What sort of motivation would you have for young people, and probably also artists who are just starting out and probably feel very dejected or very demotivated because they keep knocking on doors, no one's opening, they're pouring the heart and soul probably into a project, but it's not getting the level of recognition that they wish they could get?
Sneh, the time is now. I am really excited on what's about to happen. So I'm just going to say the time is now. And shout out to the ministry or the Minister of Commerce. As a SWAMA executive at the time, when we started having the conversation of operationalizing the Act, because the Act passed, I think 2018, if I'm not mistaken, but it hasn't been operational. When we knocked on the doors of the Ministry of Commerce, Minister Mangoba was like, let me listen. What are you guys talking about? What are you saying? And he didn't say, we'll see. He actioned. And I am so excited that I don't want to give time frames. It's not my place, but I'd say the time is now. If you're an artist or aspiring artist and you want to be in this industry and you feel like, because with us parents, we don't want our kids to get into the space because we think there is no money in this craft, but it's about to change.
Okay. I would definitely be encouraged if I was an artist listening to you detail just how the time is now and how the atmosphere is actually ripe for people to come into this industry. Let's maybe shift a bit of focus now back into you. You made reference to your upbringing and how you probably had a bit of challenge with being bullied. Let's talk about you as a mom now, as a mother. Let's talk about your relationship with your children. What sort of relationship do you have with your children, and how do you feel the type of relationship you have with your children is able to bring out the best in your kids?
I have an open relationship with my kids.
So you're an advocate. So you're an advocate for modern parenting.
For what?
Modern parenting. Your children are your friends.
Exactly.
Okay, let's listen.
I think I'm a bit of both because Gotraja, they are familiar with that, You're in there. I mean, the Bible says we must do that. Anyways, but the relationship that I have with my children, somebody who's watching from outside, I'm too friendly. Yes, my kids are my kids are my friends, to a point whereby we're able to discuss even things sometimes when I think of them, I'd be on some, hey, would have thought or dare talk about this with my mom or my dad? My daughter, when she was doing grade 7, she had a crush on some boy, and so the crush didn't go really well. She came back to tell me about it. Goes, Mom, no. And I was on some, I go tell Angelo Mfanyambona na unjanjani.
Well, in 7th grade, yeah, your taste in men is questionable.
But at the same time, then you start having real conversations about how this whole thing works. Because I tell my kids, crushing on someone is normal. Especially at their age, they will crush. Fast forward high school, that is where the conversation changes now, because there are other things that I play. My son, I keep on telling him about my issues of SOTV and stuff like that, because, they will do something that will find himself serving 10 years in jail without an option of a fine. So when you're open with your children, then you're able to take that conversation to that particular angle, So that's the kind of relationship that I have with my kids. They still come to my bed. My son, I was telling him the other day, you're a gentleman. You don't just come into mommy's room. I mean, I'm dressing up here, just walking in, you're conversing with me, and I'm like, dude, I'm trying to dress up.
Trying to put myself together. Let's come back to the music. And I'm going to put you on the spot here, because I know that you're a lover of music and it's a very difficult thing to do. But tell me about some of your favorite music. I know it's such a huge question for someone like you to answer, but who are some of your favorite artists that have made an impression on you, and why?
Locally or internationally?
Let's start locally.
Yeah. You're putting me on the spot with this one. I'm hip hop. But over the years...
Is that your favorite genre of music?
Yeah, I love hip hop.
You're a hip hop head.
I'm hip hop.
Okay.
But over the years, I've learned to love the lyrics, the message in a song, either Afro pop or whatever genre. So I've grown to love that. Mm-hmm. So if you're gonna ask me who my favorite artist is, I guess everybody knows, and I don't want to say it out, because that is where the issue of
favoritism comes in.
Exactly. What I normally say, I am the mother of local artists. Mm-hmm. So every local artist, when they have anything they know, or if they want anything, they know they have a mother in me, to a point whereby I've paid rent for some artists, I've paid studio time for some artists, I've paid their traveling gigs or rehearsals. That's where I am. I do have artists where I know that if I go to TK for this particular thing, I'm going to get. I appreciate TK for that. If I go to Sinetemba for this, I'm going to get that. Otherwise, I just love everybody.
What a politically correct response that was. Who are some of the upcoming artists that you feel as though the world should look out for, from Eswatini to the globe?
We recently went to MTN Bushfire Firefly. Okay. Most of the artists I was part of the judging panel. Most of the artists that I saw there, I was seeing them for the first time. Okay. And I was on some, really? Like, really?
You're very impressed.
I was very impressed. I think that crew, they are the next artists that we need to look out for. And we also have Young Zesh. Young Zesh, whatever he calls himself. He's another artist that I feel is destined for great things. I discovered Young Zesh. I was at he was in high school, Somjalose High School, and he was performing. I think it was Beba Valele Satishela or something. And I was like, this guy. I called him and I was like, Mfanom, this
is yours.
You know, the song he performed, there were these lines about me on the songs. But
in that song?
Exactly, in that song.
That was actually big of you.
It was not even about other industry players. Dissing your Kwenus, your Polojas, your Lins, your Soma executive.
He was just there, Gwasa.
Yeah.
I love it.
But when I listened, I was like, I didn't pay attention to the diss. I paid attention to the craft, the talent. And I was like, Mfano, we are Sebent. And whatever you need, I'm here.
What are some of the things that you have seen or are seeing creeping up? And I want you to be honest about this one, that you are seeing creeping up in the industry that you feel if you had a chance like you do now on this podcast to tell artists to just let that go, stop that.
I think the issue of beef and dissing each other and stuff like that. Eswatini is a very small country. The industry is still at its infancy. We are still trying to build the industry. So now, I'll make an example of Young Zesh and Lyrical Buster.
Okay.
They were working together. It was something beautiful what they were doing. And fast forward, they are now beefing and someone is saying what, and they're being personal about whatever is happening. We've seen these things. There was an era where Mosaic and Courtesy didn't see eye to eye during the Singaba era and stuff like that. I'm happy through bushfire, they were able to iron out their issues. And I'm hoping these ones as well will do the same thing and iron out their issues because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. What I would want is collaborations more than the fighting. You know, you get Sans collaborating with Flowy, you get somebody covering somebody else's song, you get Tia's writing for Amanda Moore. You know, the way it should be done. The beef thing locally, it's not worth it.
In terms of originality, the style of writing and the style of music, do you think it's really reflective of the potential that our artists have, or can they do better in that regard?
I think we can do better. We have Emma Sounds, La Latiswati, the Makoyanis, the Storotoros, the Luveves, that's our identity, you know. I so wish we can incorporate those elements of our music, because what's happening now, you get a call from players in South Africa and they're on some, I want a Makoyana sound. Can you email me a Makoyana sound? I want this particular sound. Can you email me this particular sound? So now we are taking our craft outside. It's gonna come back to Eswatini as if it's a foreign concept. So yeah, with the language, I am happy. We've adapted into using our mother tongue. English is obviously our tongue as well, because I mean it's an official language in the country. English nesiswati. So yeah, that's
loud and clearly. As we are wrapping up, as a woman who is multi-talented and has her finger in many different types of pie, what can we expect from you in the future? What are some of the aspirations that you still hold?
I'm gonna remarry and have other kids. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, you definitely have a future in comedy.
Well, come on, get out of here. I have a lot of things that are lined up. There was a time whereby I fell out of it based on not having support from relevant players and not having support from work. But with the kind of boss that we have now, you know that I do have a couple of songs, right? that are Lindz songs, but I can't take them out because I felt like probably it's conflict of interest or whatever. Until Sabelo was on some DJ Fresh is on radio, but we know his music. Oskido is on radio, but so what's holding you back? I'm here. What do you want? So there's a lot of stuff that's coming up. The other day, Tabiso came into studio and was on some, why not music? And I was like, listen to this. And she was on some, really? So
that's really nice. Yeah. Thank you so much, Lindz. We wish you the best. We're expecting good and great things. We do hope that you're going to come back again on the podcast to talk to us some more when you've done maybe a Hollywood movie or when this project that you're working on earns its first Grammy. Hey, let's go wild. Thank you so much.
With the movie side of things, trust me, I'm in it. Like,
so soon we'll have to go via your manager to get access to you.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And I'm thinking of hiring. Just kidding.
Thank you so much. And thank you for tuning in. Speaking of you, our viewers, have you clicked like? Have you subscribed? Are you sharing our content with your friends, your families, even your foes? Maybe if you haven't, please do click, share, like, and subscribe. Also, press on that notification bell so that when we drop a new episode, you are the first to know. Until next time, this is Echoes of the Kingdom, connecting eras, one voice at a time.